fans, comic geeks, and all nerds in between. My name is Megan, and I'm here with another character breakdown today, and we are going to talk about another mutant, of course. And I was actually asked by a listener to make this episode, and I'm actually surprised I haven't before, but whatever. We're going to talk about Hope Summers. So Hope isn't exactly my favorite character, but I go into every one of these character breakdowns with the mindset that the character I'm discussing is someone's favorite. So I'll try my best. But she's fine. I don't know. I've always found her slightly irritating, but what can you do? So, Hope Summers, she first appeared in X-Men Volume 2, number 205 in November of 2007 and was created by Mike Carey, Ed Brubaker, Peter David, Chris Yost, and Craig Kyle. Hope Summers entered the Marvel Universe in the most comics were unsupervised way imaginable. She was born to Captain Louise Spaulding of the Cooperstown Fire Department in Alaska. Her existence happened because of a time-traveling Jean Grey somehow used the Phoenix Force to get Louise pregnant. So, right out of the gate, Hope's birth certificate probably needed several extra pages. Hope was also the first mutant born after M-Day, which is a really big deal. Keep this in mind, especially considering mutants had basically stopped being born. In fact, her arrival sent such a massive psychic shockwave across the planet that Cerebra detected her and immediately exploded. Not malfunctioned, exploded. But things got worse quick. They always do. The Purifiers learned about Hope's birth thanks to Nimrod, a time-traveling sentinel who basically showed up with spoilers from the future. They attacked Cooperstown and massacred the town, including Hope's mother. Fortunately, Cable arrived in time to rescue the baby. At this point, everyone had an opinion about Hope. Cable believed she was a mutant messiah destined to save both humans and mutants. The Purifiers believed she could destroy humanity. Lucas Bishop believed she would eventually cause the deaths of millions of humans and trigger the horrible future he came from. Basically, Hope was still in diapers and already involved in multiple apocalyptic prophecy debates. Naturally, this led to everyone trying to kidnap her. Cable had her, the X-Men wanted her, Mr. Sinister sent the Marauders after her, Mystique secretly infiltrated the Marauders because she wanted to use Hope to cure Rogue. Predator X showed up because apparently things were not chaotic enough. After a giant free-for-all involving all of the above, Cyclops decided Hope would be safest with Cable. It was actually kind of a moving point in the comics because when Cyclops was holding baby Hope, well, he first assumed she was a boy, and Cable said, "Nuh-uh, that is a girl." And you see all these memories flood back to him of baby Nathan, of Cable, who is Scott's baby. And it was very cute, and he said, "You know what, she will be the most safe with you." So, Hope would be safest with Cable. Since Cable's solution to every problem is time travel, guns, or both, he took her to the future. Bishop immediately decided absolutely not, and followed them through time with the sole purpose of murking that baby. What followed was basically the longest game of hide-and-seek in Marvel history. All sides fought valiantly. Cable and Hope bounced around countless future timelines while Bishop wrecked entire civilizations looking for them. At one point, Cable settled down in a sanctuary called New Liberty, married a woman named Hope, and gave the child a somewhat normal life. Keep in mind, I know it sounds weird, Hope, the baby, hasn't been named yet. So he didn't just like, "Oh my gosh, you have the same name as my baby." To Cable, his wife was Hope before the baby. That lasted until mutant comic book physics kicked in again. Cockroach human governments, mutants invaded, civilizations collapsed, Cable's wife was taken out, not on a date, taken out permanently. The world got worse somehow, as it tends to do. And only then did Cable finally name the child Hope Summers in honor of his wife. I told you. From there, things escalated continuously because apparently Marvel has never heard of the phrase "enough is enough." Bishop teamed up with Strife, which was a choice. Strife tried to steal Hope. Apocalypse showed up and briefly considered using her as his next vessel. Hope got stranded 2 years away from Cable after literally kicking him during a time jump because she was mad at him. Kids, She survived alone, fell in love with a guy named Emil, maybe. Escaped alien attacks, survived the brood, escaped multiple exploding spaceships, and eventually reunited with Cable. Meanwhile, Bishop was still chasing them because commitment is important. When Hope's powers finally manifested, she was able to stop a bullet fired directly into her head by borrowing Cable's telekinesis. Then she and Cable spent even more time hopping through history, while Bishop chased them through everything from the Revolutionary War to ruined futures. Eventually they returned to the present, which was somehow the easy part. Bastion immediately declared war on her existence, deployed armies of adaptive Nimrod sentinels, trapped the X-Men under a giant energy dome, and generally behaved like a man who had taken overreacting as a personal challenge. Cable ultimately sacrificed himself to stop the Sentinels. Fueled by grief and rage, Hope unlocked her powers, copied the abilities of nearby mutants, and absolutely wrecked Bastion and his allies, because no one messes with her dad. Then she promptly collapsed and slept for over a day because carrying mutant destiny on your shoulders is exhausting. Her return also triggered the appearance of 5 new mutants known as the Lights. At this point, Hope basically became mutant emergency services. She traveled around the world finding newly activated mutants and stabilizing their powers before they accidentally destroyed themselves, cities, or both. She built a team, trained them relentlessly, accidentally became a messiah figure, argued constantly with Cyclops, fought monsters, cults, robots, cosmic threats, dated a few people, led X-Force, took over the Mutant Liberation Front, shot Cyclops in the eye once. You know, the usual superhero coming-of-age stuff. Eventually, Hope became central to the return of the Phoenix Force. The Avengers and the X-Men fought over her because apparently nobody in Marvel has ever heard of a calm discussion. After cosmic disasters, Phoenix-powered meltdowns, and Dark Phoenix Cyclops nearly ending the world, Hope finally bonded with the Phoenix and used its power to undo M-Day. In other words, the first mutant born after mutants stopped being born became the person who made mutant births possible again. I should also mention that Lucas Bishop did in fact stop chasing her. Like, they did come to an understanding. It got to a point where Hope had him in the line of fire. Like, she had him right there ready to take him out, and then she chose not to. So all is good between them currently. And if you want to learn more about Lucas Bishop, just check out my channel because I have an episode about him too. So later on Krakoa, Hope became one of the 5, the mutant resurrection team whose job was literally bringing dead mutants back to life through these beautiful big ol' eggs. Her powers allowed the whole process to function properly, making her one of the most important mutants on the planet. Because being a time-lost orphan hunted across centuries by assassins, cyborgs, religious fanatics, clones, sentinels, apocalypses, well, just one apocalypse, and cosmic fire gods apparently wasn't enough responsibility already. Personality-wise, Hope Summers is stubborn, fiercely independent, extremely confident, occasionally reckless, little more than occasionally, I guess, and almost incapable of sitting quietly while someone else handles a problem. Growing up while constantly fleeing through dystopian futures tends to do that to a person. She idolizes Cable, inherited most of his survival instincts, and spent much of her life trying to live up to impossible expectations while simultaneously resenting the fact that everyone expects her to save the world ever since she was a baby, which annoyingly for her, she keeps doing. So that is Rachel Summers. She is a pretty big deal. She is, like, at one point in the comics, she was the biggest deal. So, yeah. She's an okay character. I'm okay. She's fine. So, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you learned something, and I hope you like and subscribe. So, have a marvelous day.